Again, welcome. Nice to see everyone again this week. We've got someone joining us from the other side of the world today again, right, Neil? Thanks for being here. Glad it's working out for you to get in on these afternoon meetings in our time. As far as, again, add yourself quick reports, things you want to chat about, agenda items you'd like to bring up. Lindsay, I know is, Lindsay and Doug are still in another meeting right now. They should be joining shortly. Okay. The seminar, like announcements for seminars next week, right? On the 18th, I believe is the date. That's the day they've been, Lindsay has said. Let's see what's today. Yeah, I think the 18th sounds right. Let me double check that. Yes, the November 18th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, the day for the next seminar. Should be getting the newsletter out pretty quickly if it hasn't gone out yet. We found some things in there. Again, feel free to get any big community updates, anything to share as far as the newsletter. As long as it hasn't gone out yet, you can keep putting stuff on. Let's see. I'll get into some quick errors from any other announcements, people related to SimPEG, just general announcements. No. Okay, so quick reports on my end. I've continued going through the 1T MT stuff. Everything is tested well. Like it's all got tested. All test pass, all derivative test pass. Everything goes through. And this is the PDE formulation for the 1D stuff. So that was working well, and then I'm finishing up the 2D right now. That should be good to go. So once we get those in, I think the big MT pull request where it's been refactored stuff should be ready to come in. Yeah, it's good because it's right. It simplifies. It merges a lot of the old MT stuff into the frequency domain formulation. So it's able to take advantage whenever we do anything to the frequency domain stuff. It just uses the same machinery, just the different sources and receivers. And then as a side effect, you'll be able to use like MT receivers with line source currents, right?
Oh, that'll be so cool. So, yeah. So that's gonna be pretty general. So we can actually reuse the MT receiver in the general FDM class. That's so exciting, Joe. That's awesome.
That's I've started some examples with that already too. Airfield stuff.
Oh, that's perfect.
That'll be like that was like the big motivating thing to do that, right? Just to combine it all.
That's cool. That's lovely. Oh wow. Yeah, so one of the good example will be kind of CSAMT, I guess, then, because that's sort of the obvious example. Like, okay, I'm going to use the CSCM code to invert the MT data, like an MT data. So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to actually test that, Joe.
It's coming. And then I've also gone through, and I was just chatting with Tom a little bit before I finally got a chance to go through and like actually see where the differences were happening in this updated cell weight. So again, we're moving the volume term out of the sensitivity weighting and back onto like the regularization part, because before it was assumed that cell weights would have a volume term added into them. It can tend to be a little bit clunky because it depends on a lot of factors. And then when you're designing your own cell weight function or something, you have to remember to take volume terms in there all the time. And it leads to inconsistent behavior, undefined, like odd behavior when you're using different regularization functions. So that was one of the biggest differences between like simple versus Tikhonov. If you're using the sensitivity weighting, you should have used the simple weight or the simple regularization. it didn't really make sense to not use Tikhonov, but again, we're working to unifying everything. So I noticed a few just small little behavior changes that will be coming, Don, based on what you had there. So I talked to you about at least one of them, just to get it updated. And the other one is when we're updating cell weights before, I didn't see a spot where it was normalized to the maximum value. Dom, I see that you've added that into the new one, into new update sensitivity weighting where it automatically normalizes it by the maximum value. It's just something that I didn't see and I don't think was in there before. So it might, it can change, it's just slightly changing the behavior of a few things and the behavior of certain runs. I would rather it be normalized to the maximum value of, like normalized by the maximum value. Just because it leads to, gives you more reasonable estimates for beta instead of having betas that are like times 10 to the 13th power or something, like something crazy. So I propose that we continue to normalize it, or we push people to using that option, but warn them that it's going to change to be that default in the future. So we can have like just a switch, that just an option in there. It's like, okay, normalize the sensitivity and then have it disabled by default for now and put a warning in there saying, hey, this option is going to change to be default on in a future version. But that would be my recommendation there.
So you're saying that we removed the max. No, I see the max normalization here.
For now, because I don't want to have things change very like unexpectedly very fast.
No, but it is still, they should, both should have the max normalization.
I wasn't seeing it there before. At least I couldn't find where it was getting normalized by the max value before.
Switching to main.
I was assuming it would have been in the update sensitivity weight part.
Yeah, it is there, man. And get WR, that's on main, right? There's a get WR method, and then there's a max there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that shouldn't change.
Okay,
Maybe the
so
threshold moved around, but
yeah, I think so. Then it's
Is there a change because like now you're normalizing without or with the volume and before it was the reverse?
that is a
I
slight
think I think we're not normalizing the same thing. I realized that recently too.
Yeah, I think that's the difference there. So even if it is normalized by the max, now it's like normalized by the max of whatever decay function, whereas before it was normalized by the max of the decay function times the volume.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
which is better.
know,
It's better that way anyway.
Yeah. So it like I said, it'll lead to slightly different behaviors in codes that have ran before. So maybe if we'll need to be a little bit more vocal about that, I think.
I wouldn't stress too much, man. People don't pay that much attention. As long as we're happy with the output.
I noticed, but
Yeah,
it didn't change much.
You're a developer, man.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'll just put a note in there saying it's slightly changed.
Sure, yeah. I've noticed a significant improvement on the if we threshold the for the Decian version, using the threshold on the volume normalized is actually a much nicer behavior, because otherwise we're thresholding with the volumes, and then yeah, it's much more complicated.
Yeah, I agree. Like I think it's just a little bit cleaner behavior.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of, I would suggest that I'll create a PR for it, but instead of hardwiring like a value for the threshold, we should just do like a percentile, right? At least it's relative to each simulations. Because just putting a value is so arbitrary and hard to understand.
Yeah.
Because if we do a
at least
percentile,
now- At least now it's a value relative to 1. Right?
yeah, sure, yeah, but again, right, that depends on the decay on the decay function of each simulations.
Right, but the way you had it, like the way you have it right now in this PR, it is like it's relative to 1 because it was normalized before applying it, right?
Yeah, I thought I went through and did some work
Yeah.
on this and kind of, yeah, normalized it so it would be independent of that.
But your pull request isn't in, I think, Dev, right?
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, it seemed like it was a pretty simple change, so I'm not sure.
Well,
how long it was.
I think they might have been touching the similar areas.
Yeah.
Well, I will continue to move on and figure out exactly what is causing. Those are just a few slightly different behaviors that I've seen.
Well, one other thing about it too with the weights is it's nice when it's sort of nice when it's normalized so that it doesn't scale the model objective function by a lot. I know it doesn't really matter too much when you're kind of getting an estimate of the starting beta, but if you were to hardwire your starting beta, it would matter. And it would be nice to have the weights not scale the model objective function drastically, because you'd sort of like to maybe run an inversion with and without these weights and not have it start at either drastically different betas or not have it be starting at different points along the convergence curve. Am I sort of making any sense here?
Yeah, we all agree on this. We already agree that it should be normalized. That's good. Yeah, I'm talking about 1047, Devon. It's not in yet. I left a few comments and then we still have to merge.
Okay, but anyway, so that's what I've been up to last week or so. Let's see. John, how's you going?
Going not too bad. Yeah, I wasn't doing too much SimPEG stuff, but then I kind of got back onto it when I needed to do some tensor mesh decoupling. So I added that to the tile map mapping on the SimPEG, or actually I haven't pushed it yet, but I'll push it to the simulation MT, or sorry, the simulation tile. But yeah, just kind of working on the parallelization with the tensor meshes. I got one of our big surveys down by 4 or increased or improved speed by 4 times just by making 2 tiles. So yeah, it's looking promising. But other than that, yeah, I guess if there's anything else left to do on the simulation MT, I can help wrap that up. But I think I'll be moving to the simulation tiled now, Dom, and I'll start working on getting those tests passing and start getting that PR maybe in.
Well, yeah, I don't think we'll be able to PR straight, but I have a PR from our fork to tiled simulations. So you should just maybe look at it before you carry on, and if you accept the changes, then you can just merge it.
Cool. Yeah, I did think I noticed it. There's quite a bit in there to pull in from your side there.
Yeah. So what's your strategy, John, for a tensor? Are you going to still nest your meshes all the way to the edge, or?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. You're just expanding your paddings.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I created like a create nested tensor tile, like your,
okay,
just pretty much like a similar function like yours. And yeah, it takes care of all that, does all that automated stuff.
Good. Sweet.
Does it use like volume averaging to go between?
Yeah, I found your volume averaging there and figured out what parts I needed and pulled it in. Yeah, it wasn't too much. It was pretty easy to bring in. You had all the stuff there discretized, so.
Good. Any other quick reports? I don't see anyone listed on there. If you guys have any updates you want to share?
Yeah, I got maybe a couple things. In the last week or two, I looked through exercising the properties package. I started with the potential field stuff. There really wasn't much to put in there or much to change, except for two really important things. How SimPEG handles physical properties, and also right now the survey object is a property of the simulation class. So these are things I didn't really want to tackle in this project. I think that's something that needs to be done at the end. So I created a small PR that is, I think it's 1054. If somebody could take a look at that, that would be great. Yeah, there really isn't much going on in there, but if somebody could take a look, that would be fantastic. And then the other thing would be what's the situation on the EM1B stuff? Did that actually get merged in?
Not yet.
Not quite yet?
It's on my plate. And yeah, I'm not the roadblock, I guess. So I'll do that.
Yeah, just need to like take out a lot of the stuff that isn't being used right now.
All right, so
And then like there's like a bunch of leftover code in there that needs to get pulled out.
Yeah. Yes, but I think I did my part on, I updated all of the tutorial examples and worked through that stuff. So I think my portion last time we talked about this is done, unless there's anything else I can do to help.
Sounds good. I'll do my duty. Sorry if I keep saying this.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's about it for me.
So I took a look, Joe, at your new the new mesh regularization thingy that you sent me.
The test one, yeah.
And actually gives virtually the same result as the other one. It doesn't solve the issue of of all the extra crap we're getting in the DC inversion. It almost gives the same result if we give it the same target 5D. So that's not gonna solve it.
Okay.
And as far as I can tell, the only difference is how the averaging is done, right? We're kind of doing sloppily right now. We're just doing like a 0.5 over the hanging faces. Whereas I believe you're doing like a volumetric averaging, right, on those hanging faces. If you use the inner product operator.
Yeah,
You got to do something fancier, yeah.
Yeah, there's something fancier in there, but I think the motivation is, to me at least, to make it a little bit more ambivalent.
General, yeah. I hear you. But it will require some thinking, because right now it doesn't really handle the active cells, right? It's like it works for a full mesh, but it doesn't work if we start doing like part averaging, if your cell is, if your hanging faces or just one or the other. Anyway, so I'll put it on a back burner. I'm not going to touch it until you push it.
It's just an experimental thing.
Yeah, I wanted to see if it solved the our DC issue, but yeah, it looks like a thresholding is actually doing what we want. So I might just leave it as is for now.
Yeah, that's fine. It makes a little bit more sense to me too, actually, because like when you're off to those sides, the really far parts, like the sensitivity just goes so low very quickly. It's not regularizing anything there.
Yeah, exactly. And using a percentile is really easy, because after a certain point, you say, past like 50% or 30%, just
yeah,
let it regularize. Don't
like
try
I'm not
to.
really sensitive to that one anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And the results look really nice. It kind of really cleaned things up, so that's good. And now I'm on MT, so I'm trying to do the same UIs for MT inversions, and I was struggling with the whole data conversion. I think I got it, but anyway, that was my week of SimPEG.
Did that GIF tools cookbook thing help, like figuring it out?
Not really. The pictures helped.
That's part of it.
Yeah, no, but the example that you put on the E3D MT was helpful because then I could just load that model and that data and just run the forward on it and see and compare, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Try to do it in the air with just like east west blah blah blah. It's too hard, man. Just fucking forward model it and then show me what the difference is. It's much faster.
East
Yeah.
is X versus not Y versus.
It's you flip them all basically an imaginary minus one. That's the trick.
There are images that will like they'll show you what the data looks like in those different coordinate systems and then let you recognize it. So I think the page before about understanding anomalies is that, except you don't have to forward model anything. So it kind of saves you some work.
Yes, but if you don't have like a simple anomaly to look at, then it's kind of hard, right?
I mean, it's the anomaly over a conductive block.
Yes, I understand, but if you don't have a forward simulation, you have nothing to compare with. Anyway, I think I got it. We just need to do it once, and then it's going to be over.
I think you're right, Dom, because yeah, we processed with the other I omega, so I had it set up for our data, so that would explain why the
Extra minus. Yeah, it all comes clean after the inversion works. We can get the L block back, so fine. Moving on. I don't need to know more. Done for me.
Lindsay, did you have any quick updates? I think you said you had to leave early today, so just.
No, not at the moment. Well, one maybe quick update is Jared at USGS is really interested in working with the MT code. So doing some 1D and 2D with the goal of potentially having SimPEG be used at SAGE, the Summer of Applied Geophysics field school.
Oh, cool.
So I'll connect with him sometime, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But just to know that he'll probably be jumping in, asking some questions on Slack, if not in the meeting. So exciting that, you know, the MT development is coming along and we might have a wider set of users coming on board.
How's that project anyway, Lens? With did it come to completion with MTH5?
So that's why I was late today. Been meeting with Carl about sort of wrapping up that project and proposing a second phase. Is we basically have, you know, a lot of the code is kind of in place and a lot of the bones are there, but it's still sort of early stages of the project. And so the idea for a next phase being actually like developing some workflows and tutorial guides and things like that for working with different MT systems, and then having that basically be used as motivation for continued development, is so fixing bugs and you know, faulty assumptions and things like that along the way as we work through a number of different data sets. So yeah, so we were chatting about that proposal, but we'll hopefully have Carl come give a SimPEG seminar Carl and Jared in the new year sometime.
Okay, cool.
Super.
It's fun.
Nothing related to SimPEG. Our group is actually hiring a postdoc. So if you know anybody who has a good data science background and computational background, yeah, it'll be great to get some. It's actually amazingly hard to find a good person. Anyway, so we're looking for somebody. So anybody interested, let me know.
It's a very niche market. How long have you guys been looking for?
We just started. Like we're just starting, and the major job is sort of coupling the process. So hydrologic process and sort of electromagnetic imaging. So yeah, it'll be a fun work. But yeah, not sure who to hire, but.
Anything else? Anyone else? All good. Okay,
All
then.
good.
See y'all next week at 10:30 a.m. next week.
Perfect. Have a good afternoon, friends.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks,
Later.
everyone.